Welcome to the Business Spotlight
Thank you.
series. I am Everardo Resendiz. People around here know me as Coach Ever. I am a certified executive and business coach in Northwest Louisiana with Action Coach. And today I have Brittany Dottolo, owner and CEO of Drenched Public Relations and CEO of a new app called Alfie, as my guest. And we're going to be talking about her businesses, the journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it really is like to own and operate a business. It's not a walk in the park, right? And so we want to give you guys a glimpse of what it really is like to do that. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. And so, Brittany, welcome. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about it. And one correction, I am co-founder of Alfie, the app. But yes,
That's right. That's
I've
right.
got two other partners.
There you go. And see, you we don't want to take all the credit. It's all of it,
No,
right?
no, one of my partners is CEO, so he might get upset if I take the credit.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'm glad you made that
But
correction.
it's
It's
all
good.
good. It's all good.
All right. So, will you share a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about Drenched to begin with?
Yes. So I started Drenched Public Relations 2.5 years ago. I came from at the tail end of COVID being laid off from my corporate job. So I worked for Wyndham Hotels and Resorts and as a manager of franchise operations. And in that role, I kind of supported, well, not kind of, I did, but about 80 hotels throughout Texas and 80 hotel franchise owners and then got laid off like many people did and experienced during COVID. And I was kind of left with, what do I do? And about a year after, I decided I'm going to start my own business. It wasn't my first time starting a business, but it was the first time in a long time. So I kind of decided to put that entrepreneurial hat back on and just go at it.
All right. This is interesting. So, you had been in business before, and then you went to work in a corporation, and then you started again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit that
Go
transition.
ahead.
How did that play out for you?
I feel like anyone who wants to own a business, typically entrepreneurial people have a problem. They're kind of serial entrepreneurs. They put their hands in a lot of things. And, I started out that way. Whenever I was 22 years old, I found myself getting pregnant. And actually, I was in college. I started a little bit late, got pregnant during college, and had my twins. Those were my first babies, was having two. And knew I wanted to do something. So, of course, being the entrepreneur I am, I started sewing some baby items like pacifier clips, bibs, and whatnot. And I did it pretty well. So then I decided lived in Baton Rouge at the time. That's where I'm from. And I decided to wholesale it. So I was in Baton Rouge and I decided to wholesale these items I was making to some boutiques, finding solace and doing a little bit of escape from what my life was. I loved raising kids, but I also needed something for myself. So that was something that I really found value in. But then my husband got a job, we moved, and I kind of lost those contacts. And also, there was a little bit of fear involved in growing that type of business because, anytime you're dealing with babies, if there's choking hazards, there's some liability in that. And I didn't really at the time have the mentorship and technology wasn't where it was today for me to be comfortable growing and scaling beyond what I was doing on that small scale. So I decided to be a photographer
Did you do the
and
whole
pursue
selling
that.
there?
I did the wholesaling, yeah.
Okay. All right. So you were selling your products through other
hmm
people.
I
I
made
love it.
them at home. I wore all the hats, made them, sold them, and then wholesaled in Baton Rouge. Yeah,
Okay.
to
All right. All right.
all the baby boutiques I could find.
Very good. And so what happened next?
Whenever I moved to Baton Rouge, I'm sorry, moved to Texas, Corpus Christi, that was whenever decided to hang that up just because of the not knowing where to go, where to scale, next steps, and liability wise, and the cost associated with that. So kind of, got a little bit. scared. Fear set in, and I thought, let me do something that's not as risky. The chances of someone getting hurt and having a choking hazard or dying is a lot less risky with photography. So I went into photography. Again, doing something that allowed me to be a stay-at-home mom was important, but I also wanted that I needed something for myself. So my mind is always spinning, and I just am not a person who can just sit at home, even though I loved being able to stay at home and not work, a corporate job. It was something that I still wanted something that I could call my own.
Very good. So you have the baby items first, then you had the photography
Hmm.
business, right?
Hmm.
And then what made you move into the corporate world?
My kids grew. And with that came the opportunity for me to also grow as well and do something that was different that brought me outside the home. And also, I was about 34 at the time, I believe. 30, well, maybe it was like 35. And I had just graduated college. So before, I should backtrack because before I got my corporate job, I didn't finish my degree when I was younger. So I decided to go back to college, finish the degree. I graduated with magna cum laude honors, and I completed my communication degree with four kids at home. And I was graduated at 30, I think it was 34 years old.
Wow. Okay. And so you take this corporate job, and how long do you stay there?
Mhm. I stayed there almost 3 years, and I started working. It was before COVID, made it through all of the COVID layoffs and the furlough, and I was victim of the last COVID layoff. But thankfully, I still have a great relationship with the company.
Right, right. I mean, and it did give you a glimpse of what the other life is like. So
It
you don't
did.
have the question, is this something that I should want to do, that I haven't tried before? So I love that. Then you go and COVID comes around, you start your public relations firm.
Hmm. And I will say, having the corporate business once I graduated, that was really important because I knew I'm an entrepreneur at heart, but having real experience. I mean, I had all kinds of jobs. I started working when I was 15 years old. So I've always worked in some facet, but you can't replace a corporate experience. And it's something I think if everyone has the opportunity to do it, they should if they want to be an entrepreneur, because you really are working, you're making money and learning on someone else's dime.
Ooh, that's very
But
good.
yeah.
All right. And so you start Drenched,
Mhm.
and it's a public relations firm. It's not selling products like you were doing with the baby things. It's not photography only. Now you have the ability to use your skill set and what you learn into something new.
Yes.
So what was the
Yes.
vision, Brittany, when you started these? What do you wanted to accomplish?
Yeah. So initially, I built my company with hotels because that was where my expertise was. And it's a lot easier to start a business whenever you're coming from something where you've built contacts. So if you want to go into something that is completely different, I wouldn't recommend that because you want to build and start with what it is that you know. You don't want to go into something that you don't know. That's natural. So I built it on hotels, and no, it's not products, but I do offer services that, it really comes full circle because my experience from working a corporate job, my experience from having a business and actually, knowing what it's like to sit at home for hours and make your own product. And then also doing photography, I'm able to pull from all of those experiences and put it into my business, which is what I did with the services that I offer through my company. So it really helped because those years and years of experience, I was able to like just pour it into starting a business and saying, okay, what can I do from the skills that I've grown over the years and make it into something that I can offer someone else. And that's, it was just marketing was kind of the no brainer. My degree is in communications. So it just made sense. It was a natural next step for me as a business owner to do something like that.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, well, so let's just kind of set it up, set the stage for the viewers and the listeners. Um, um, what's the structure of the business? Are you the sole owner? Do you have any partners in it? Do you have a team of people? How do you work with them?
Yeah, I am the full owner of Drenched PR, and my I do have a team of people that continually grow as my business grows.
Great. And are they working with you in the same location or are these remote workers?
Both, so I have some that are nearby in a location and some that work remotely.
Yeah. See, the reason I bring this up is because, since COVID, we have seen the expansion of this idea. Like there were some people that did a lot of creative work that were
Hmm.
always remote workers for everybody, but it has become more mainstream, right? And
Hmm.
so it gives people the ability to, acquire talent that may not be
Hmm.
available in the areas where they're in. So
Yeah,
that's why
for
we
sure.
asked the question. But okay, so
Absolutely. I was
let's
gonna say,
let's talk about.
remote workers, I find them all the time for certain projects.
All right, so here's an interesting question. How do you bring them into the fold? Like, every business has a certain culture, right?
Hmm.
And when it's everybody in the same place, you kind of have that in
Yeah.
entrenched into it. Now with remote workers, it's a little different. How do you get them to become part of that organism that is your company?
I think that that is naturally a struggle with any business is to get people that come on board and fully embrace whatever it is your vision. And whenever you're the owner of a company, you're really excited for that vision and passionate about what you do, and you're passionate about everything. Every project is important. And it's something with when you bring other people into your business, you have to realize that they're not going to have that same shared vision and passion that you have. So you have to find other ways to get them excited. And some of those ways is, to help them see that they're gaining some skills that they can use if they want to grow in some kind of field or continue on somewhere and not stay with me. That, hey, you're able to gain this, or I can teach you this, because I'm all about helping people, give them a leg up. I would rather them not stay and work with me and go on to do bigger and better things if that's what they want to do, and be a part of helping that growth, than to be someone to say, okay, you're going to work for me and I just want to stifle your progress and keep you down. No, I don't. I want people to feel empowered and lifted up. So I think that that culture is something that is appreciated for the people that work with me, that they feel like they have that individuality and can kind of take on each project that they're doing with some type of ownership, that they're gaining something for the future.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, well, let's move on to what makes your business so special. Like, uh, who do you primarily serve? You mentioned hotels or
Mhm.
hospitality, right? Um, but if I'm in the audience, how do I know I'm a good fit for you?
So it's hotels, hospitality, and lifestyle. So hotels, restaurants, and as far as lifestyle, you think of like brands like Coca-Cola. They're in the hospitality business. So if we're talking, I don't have Coca-Cola as a client, but I could, because Coca-Cola I mean, they are in the hospitality business. So the umbrella is more broad, but something special that we stand out as a company is, I like to tell all of my owners whenever they hire Drenched PR, it's like a concierge business. Um, we become an extension of their team. So I don't look at it as I'm Drenched PR, you are a brand, and you're a company, and Drenched PR are two separate entities. I look at it as you just took on Drenched PR, and we are evolving ourselves into your culture and into your brand, and we essentially become like a team to them. And that's different from a lot of businesses out there. At if you hire a company and you run into a problem and you call them at 1 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday, are they going to take that call? What if you need them to come to your business, are they going to be willing to come? Or are they going to say, you just called me on a Saturday and with my family, And so I tell my clients, we are here at any time. If you need to call me on Christmas Eve at 1 a.m., I'm going to take that call. I may miss the call, but I'll call you back as soon as possible. And it's not to say that I'm just trying to not value my family or give them time. It's just that I feel that that's a differentiator that makes Drenched PR special. People like to feel valued in business, and we all would love to have like a private jet or a concierge doctor. And so I tell them, we are your concierge PR consultants. So whatever you need, if you need us to go make a bed, do housekeeping, or clean up vomit on the floor, if that's what you need us to do, we're going to do it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's that approach to personalize, customize service to
Yes.
whatever your clients need. That's very good. And so, what is one thing that you wish more people knew about Drenched PR?
Well, I would say I can't say it's something that they would wish that they knew about Drenched PR. It goes with our company, with the services that we offer. But I wish that people really understood, especially businesses, the value in the services that we do offer clients. And that's been a hurdle that a lot of businesses don't realize the full gravity of. Of public relations services that they need and what it does for them. It's often a service that is pushed by the wayside due to competing priorities. You can't wear all the hats. We're not magic workers. There's no formula that I introduce or I tell my clients that I'm giving them that is some magic, wand or magic pill to suddenly make their business this, incredible force. Of course, that is something that, could happen. But what I tell them is these are things that you could do in house yourself, or you could do yourself as an owner, but you're not doing. You should be doing them, but you're not doing it because competing priorities are taking precedence. And because of that, it's pushed by the wayside, but it's necessary in today's landscape to do things that are community based or are getting your publicity for your business. I mean, they're just necessary business practices. It's just like if you have a business, you open a restaurant, it's necessary to have a presence on Google Maps, Apple Maps. If you're not there, nobody can find you. So that's a necessary need that you have to get published on there. It should also be a necessary need to have someone doing public relations because if it's not done, then you've got a gap in your marketing that's not being fed, and that's going to hit your ROI and ROE.
So, let's use this opportunity, okay, to make this
Hmm.
clarification, right? Because I understand the value of public relations. It has to do more with the image that you portray as an organization, as part
Hmm.
of a community. Um, Whatever that community is, whatever size, whether it's a worldwide
Yes,
community or a local
right.
community, right? Um, but most business people don't, they cannot differentiate between advertising and public relations. So what would you tell
They're really
them?
one and the same, but yeah. It's advertising is so we do advertising because it is public relations, right? Like public relations in the most simplistic way is managing your public persona of you as a person or your brand. It's whatever image is put out there. So when you think of marketing and advertising, that is your public image. What is that public image? What does it look like? What do you want it to look like? All of those things are wrapped into public relations. Of course, it can be very narrow in scope or you can go very broad, and it depends on the individual business and their needs at the time and season that they're in. So all of those things play a part in what a company should be doing at any given point. But I'll give you an example of let me let me touch on a hot topic of mine, which is influencer relations with businesses. A lot of businesses don't keep up with the trends. They get very, I don't want to say like stuck or stagnant, but that's kind of what it is, complacency with, following a status quo. And what our job is to do is to keep up with those trends, keep up with what is necessary to do today to elevate their brand against competitors. And they are meanwhile running their business and not really keeping up with those trends. They might see it and it could just gets pushed to the wayside, and they don't revisit it again. They think, no, I don't need that. Influencer marketing, influencer relations is one of those things that is very, for most businesses, it is paramount. And most businesses don't, they don't engage with it still today. So that is if I was going to really pull out something specific that is a service that we offer and say that businesses aren't doing this and they should, it would be engaging influencers with it, with their company, and
That
we
is
can
golden,
manage that
right?
all for them.
That is golden right there. Thank you for
Yes.
that, Brittany. Okay, well, let me move on to the journey, right? Like we spent a bunch of time focused on the business and sharing some
Hmm.
of those best practices of yours. But
Hmm.
let's take a step back and dive a little bit more into that journey. And so we already talked about what led you into this endeavor of yours, right? And um, and if you look back, right, any business will have these moments that really make you question whether you're pursuing the right thing, right?
Hmm.
It's almost like going back to the drawing board, maybe sitting with your hand in
Yeah.
your head in your hands and thinking, "Oh my God, why did I get myself into this?" Um, and yet, it is through those moments that we have the breakthroughs. It is through those times when you find growth. And so, what has been for you the most memorable roadblock or hurdle that you have been challenged with in this business of yours and you were forced to overcome?
You said the most memorable hurdle.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's many, but if I was going to say one, it's imposter syndrome for sure. And
Okay.
I think, yeah, yeah.
How
I
did that
think
manifest for you?
it manifested at the very beginning, because I get where, okay, I have this idea, I build the strategy, I build the business plan. I could talk about business plan all day. My business plan was very loose, story for another day. But the next day I wake up and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Who is going to trust me and see me as a expert in my field and trust to actually sign a check over to me and see me as worthy? And that's where imposter syndrome comes in and kind of takes over. And what it does is it keeps you from thinking you are good enough to go to the next step in that plan. It is a continual hurdle. And I don't think it ever goes away, but you learn how to suppress it as time goes on. And it's wins that constantly put you back in and say, I am worthy of this. I'm worthy of having this business and worthy of doing work for this client or getting this next bigger client. So it's those little reminders and wins that constantly propel me to the next phase in my journey. But it's never really goes away, but it is the biggest beast in my career.
That is very deep, Brittany. So I'm thinking over here, you know, the majority of business people will have these times when you really question, right? Whether you're
Hmm.
capable, you're good enough, and you know, it really is where you focus, right?
It
You gotta
rears its
focus
ugly
on,
head.
well, but if you focus on, like you said, the win, right? You kind of
Yes.
get the reinforcement, right? Um, and so maybe the losses are not as stalling, right? But that's positive validation of what it is that
Hmm.
you're trying to accomplish. So asking the question isn't bad, is where we focus that response. Because
Hmm.
you know, some people will take the different perspective altogether and take the losses as a confirmation that they're not,
Yeah.
rather than the
Yes.
wins being the
Yes.
confirmation that they are. And so,
Exactly.
if we can inspire people in any way today, it may be by saying, where you focus your attention, that's where you're going to find the confirmations that you need. So that was a deep, deep thought, and thank you for sharing that with everybody here
Yeah.
today.
I think it's
And so,
important that you feed. It's the trying to think what that saying is. So forgive me. I'm just going to make this up, but it's like the animal that you feed is the one that's going to grow. And
That's
I
right.
think it's
You can
important to
you can either feed the
feed the
eagle of pride
winds.
or the wolf of
Yes,
shame.
that's right. Yes.
Oh, that's very good. So thank you for that. Again, this is the sort of thing that we're doing this podcast for people to realize they're not alone. You know, everybody goes through these.
Hmm.
And more so when you start on your own and you start kind of going through these things. Um, I will tell you, having been doing this for the past 16 years, um, it does quiet. It exists if you pay
Good.
attention to it, but it does
Yeah.
quiet, you know?
Okay.
So the more you do these, the more you reinforce the right side of you, the right
Yes.
animal, the less that's going to make noise moving forward.
That's right. That's right. It does. The background noise does lower as time goes on.
That's right. Okay, well, let's fast forward a little bit. Now, you talked about, being the co-founder for Alfie. What's that project like? How does that impact what you're doing with Drench?
Yeah, so it's very interesting, but Alfie actually had come about through. If I go back in time, no way could I explain it in depth into what it is. But when I worked for Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, I actually launched industry-wide the adoption of QR codes. This is back in like 2015, 2016, when QR codes weren't as widespread as what they are today. And with hotels, leaving reviews is getting capturing positive reviews is pretty paramount in that business because it's a lot of people leave negative reviews, but when they have a good experience, they just don't take the time to write up a review. And so I implemented an easy system to adopt that with all of my hotels, and then my some colleagues of mine, and then all throughout the nation ended up adopting the practice of implementing QR codes within hotels. And whenever I got laid off, I kind of, I shelved it, but I still had it in the back of my head. Like, is there a way with me selling my agency to implement this practice? I can't do the same thing I did within the company that they're doing. I mean, they're still, whatever I put out there, they're still utilizing it. My whole system, my PowerPoints, everything. I mean, the whole training, everything is still being used. But how can I differentiate myself going to these hotels and bringing it next level? So, of course, I thought, okay, well, maybe if I can implement in a way that we do that, plus we replace like brochures that are in hotels, the physical brochures that people don't
Yes.
look at anymore, and do it digitally, incorporate that. And it's like, not only are we capturing reviews, but we're also showing guests things to do in the area, discounts, whatnot, but in a digital way. And then beyond that, it kind of, grew from there. And I partnered up with somebody. I pitched it to someone who actually founded another business, sold that business. He lives up north in Wisconsin. And I thought, okay, is there a way we can kind of partner together, take your coding and your skills, and then my think tank creativity on this and come up with something more powerful for hotels? So we did. And we kind of launched that, and then we thought, okay, is there another way to take it even greater, next level, and for the public? So that's how Alfie as an app was born. Obviously, it's the evolution of it now, and the future evolution is vastly different from where it began, but it still began at the heart of hospitality and promoting local businesses, and of course, with hotels and my agency, which is what I do. So again, it was like a pipeline that just came out of the business I've already been doing.
Outstanding. Okay, and so where do you see Drench going in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, hopefully, scaling is a big goal of mine. So I would like to say from 3 to 5 years from now that I have scaled this to something bigger, and have a. Right now, I have an office in my home. I'd like to have a physical office in New Orleans, ideally. So that's where I'd like to be. Is just take what I do on a grander scale and also have larger corporations. I've already kind of one signing corporations, but it just looks a little bit differently than a retainer. It's kind of a as projects are needed basis.
Understand, understand. And so, how do you currently set goals for what's your approach to goal setting? Like, how many times how often do we set goals, and how do you document it? How do you define the time frames for these things?
You got to write it down. I mean, bottom line, I write it down, and I think if it's not written, it's not. It's just it just is that it's a fleeting thought. So if you really want to know if you're reaching goals, you have to write it down and you have to re-reference them and look at where you are. And if you're not reaching your goals, is pivot and find a new way to. Maybe you were too aspirational in that goal. I mean, I've done that. I've written a goal. I think it's okay to be aspirational, but I've written goals and maybe they were too big. And so instead of getting upset that you didn't achieve that goal, it's scaling back and saying, okay, let me make a smaller goal. Still something that's bigger than what I'm at, but not as big as that. So I don't feel like I lost. But it has to be written down. Bottom line, I write down goals all the time.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, we have certainly covered a lot of ground in this conversation today. For those people who are watching, I highly encourage you to save these and come back a few times for an additional watch. There's a lot of great nuggets here. And so, as we begin to wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions, Brittany. We,
Okay.
they're just quick top of head things. The first thing that comes
Yeah.
to mind. Okay. So the first question is, what is the key to success for you?
Yeah, so I was saying that was a rough one for me because I think I have a lot of keys. But let me go to one that is really important to me, and that is to read. I read all the time and learn all I can. And that is the one thing I would say that I do is I read a lot.
Very good. So, what is one piece of advice you have for other business people out there?
Be prepared to pivot. Don't get stuck in whatever you're doing so much so that you are afraid to just take chances and risks and go to different direction. You have to be prepared to pivot.
Very good. So, what is one book that you're reading now, or that you have read most recently, or that you think anybody in business should have?
Well, the book I'm reading right now is AI literacy for hotels. So that's a very niche thing. But the last book that I read before this one was Blink by, I
Oh,
think it's
yes.
Gladwell. Is that
Malcolm
is that it?
Gladwell.
Malcolm Gladwell. That's it. And Blink is such a good book. So it's about following your gut and not getting analysis paralysis. And again, I think that goes around with pivoting and not overthinking as well on a piece of advice is that you have to be prepared to just don't overanalyze, just follow your gut and do it.
Excellent. Okay, and so if you have to choose only one area of your business that you can improve tomorrow, like right away, magic one type, right? What will that be?
Probably pricing. If I had to improve one area of my business, it would be to see value in what I offer and have the gumption to really assign the right price to what my company offers.
Very good. That certainly is an area that most people don't pay attention to enough. And so before
Yeah.
we get into the final question of the day, how can other people learn more about you and your company? Like, how can they get in touch
Yeah.
with you?
So they can find us on social media at Drenched PR and also on website at www.drenchedpr.com and email me at Brit, at drenchedpr.com. Basically, you put in Drenched PR in TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, you're going to find us.
And so if people needed to kind of get an idea of what it is like for them working with you, should
They
they
can
just
they can
email
reach
you?
Yeah, they can email me. And then also if anybody's listening out there who just needs some advice, I'm willing to chat and give a little bit of a mentorship advice to them. Businesses are interested, then I can do a free analysis for them of their business on social media or on Google. And anybody else that has any questions of what it's like to work at Drenched PR or how to get into this field, I can answer that as well.
Very good. All right. Well, last question of the day, Brittany. Um, what is it that you find that is most inspiring for you today?
I'm most inspired by women entrepreneurs. who are really succeeding in their field. I can go through the woman who founded Like to Know It. She inspires me. The founder of Spanx, she inspires me. I think that it's important out there to look to visionaries in whatever it is that you do and find inspiration in them because that helps you to set your goals and keep your eye on the prize.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here today and sharing all these with us. Thank you to the audience for watching and sharing. You never know who you might be inspiring by having them listen to this interview. And so until we see you again, make it a great day, okay? Till next
Thank
time.
you, Coach Ever. I appreciate it.